I'm done making Super Mario 64 ROM hack videos. I want to apologize to all my fans who only watch me for my Mario 64 hack vids, but please, for the love of God, just watch my other videos. They're so much better and I put a lot of effort into them. I've been pondering this decision for a while now, but there were a number of things in particular that made the decision very easy for me. Now, you guys don't know this, but even though I'm small time and I make very little on YouTube, it still adds up. And I was planning on buying a wedding ring for my girlfriend, so in the wake of the adpocalypse, the small amount of money I was making had become even smaller. So I decided that I'd ask Kays for a shout out. Now keep in mind, after playing and promoting his ROM hacks for almost 2 years, Kays has never once reached out to me or offered to return the favor, so I asked him this one small thing. I'm like, hey man, can I get a shout out? And this is what he wrote back to me. Phantom Bane, the very fact that you exist makes me physically ill, and your videos make me envy Helen Keller. Now, I guess I always sort of knew in the back of my head that this guy wasn't a huge fan of me. It wasn't until then that he outright said it, but I guess the signs were there, but this was probably the worst possible time to rip that band-aid off. So, naturally, I was feeling pretty vulnerable, so I decided to talk to my girlfriend about it because she was always, or so I thought, really compassionate and understanding, so I go home and she's not there. So I start texting her, asking her, where she's at. And then I get a DM from Simple Flips containing a very explicit photo of him and my girlfriend that I cannot show on YouTube. Now, I have no clue what I did to Simple Flips to make him do that to me. My only theory is that it's painful for a speedrunner to watch a non-speedrunner play through a game, but I digress. So that was easily the worst day of my life. I had no idea where to go from there. All I knew is that I needed a stiff drink. So I went down to the bar where I met my old friend Dalton. Now, Dalton is the guy who introduced me to ROM hacks in the first place. He was possibly one of my best friends in the world. He was the coolest motherfucker you're gonna know. But this time he was a bit different. He seemed more awake. I don't know how to put it, but anyway, we started catching up, and eventually the conversation goes to ROM hacks, which eventually segued into how shitty my day was. I don't usually like to fish for sympathy, but I desperately needed it that day, and he understood that. He then told me that he had his laptop with him and that we could hang out and play Mario 64 online at my place like the old days. Now I was conflicted since Kays made that one, but I agreed because Dalton was such a great guy and I guess I owed him for unloading all my emotional crap on him, so we went back to my place and we started playing Mario 64 online. We actually pulled an all-nighter and beat the entire game somehow. It was a blast to say the least. Now, I looked over at Dalton to thank him for being such a great guy and for being there for me, but I noticed that he wasn't responding. I started asking what's going on, and then he collapsed to the floor. I rushed towards him to catch him so he didn't hit his head, and I start frantically asking him what's going on, and his breathing started getting more shallow, and I'm like, don't worry, I'm calling an ambulance, you're gonna be fine. And he looks me in the eyes, and he said, I thought I was here to cheer you up, but you ended up giving me the time of my life. I've never been so happy. Thank you so much for making me feel alive one last time. My best friend died in my arms that night, and all I can remember, other than the light vacating his eyes, was the end credits song emanating from his laptop speakers. After that night, I couldn't think of Mario 64 at all without remembering Dalton's lifeless body in my arms, like a candle without a flame. At Dalton's funeral, Nintendo DMCA'd his entire channel, which pretty much put me off of Nintendo as a whole. Dalton, on the other hand, died a Nintendo fan. As such, I buried him with my copy of Super Mario 64. I'm fairly confident that that's what he would have wanted. All of these things basically meant that I could no longer, in good conscience, acknowledge anything Mario related, and that includes ROM hacks. That's why I made this decision. I'll still keep making videos on other games because I'm still a gamer, but Mario and Nintendo have lost all my respect, and will have no place on this channel from this day forward.
Easter Fools, motherfuckers.